Hi, thanks for joining me again. Thank you also to all the new members that have joined my YouTube channel and are reaching out and sending me messages and support. I'm very, very grateful for you, and I have now a huge load of readings to get through. So it's going to take me. I used to get readings back to people within about 3 to 4 days, but it's taking me a lot longer now because of the volume that I'm getting. So it's wonderful, but I'm just pacing myself so I don't get overwhelmed myself. What I want to talk today about is empaths, highly sensitive people, clairvoyants, psychics, and the nervous system. Because for many, many years, I knew I wasn't a nervous person. I mean, as a child, I was on stage in concerts doing dancing in front of a huge audience, and I never had any nerves. I never had any fear around that. Yet I would also be put in situations as a child where I felt my nerves would react in my body like I don't want to be here, or this doesn't feel right, or I don't like the energy of that person that is in front of me. I'm feeling something from them. And, as a child, you don't really understand what it is. And I think people like adults will just say like, oh, you're just feeling nervous, or you're just anxious. And it kind of had a connotation of being a bad thing, like get over it. You shouldn't have nerves. You shouldn't feel anxious. Learn how to relax your body. Well, I started doing meditations in my 20s, and that relaxes my body, yet I was still feeling the same. My nerves react in certain situations, and I wouldn't call it being nervous as in scared. I feel like it is more my nerves react in my body to a situation, and it is telling me what it wants from me. And I started to notice this when I'd gone for a job interview. I'd gone for 3 job interviews in this one particular day. This is when I was very young. And the first one, they were all with a bank. So there were 3 different banks. And the first one I went into and I was perfectly fine. I sat through the interview. Everything was good. The second one I went to, same thing. Everything was good. The third one I went to, I felt very, very ill. I started to feel nauseous. I started to feel like really sick. And I came up with this hot flush type feeling. And it was like my body was saying, this is not right. This place here is not right for you. The first place is right, because with the first interview I went to I was totally calm. Everything went really well. And this was, I just felt so ill. My body was reacting. So instead of going for the interview, I got up and left. I didn't even have the interview. I just listened to my body. My body was telling me something. And by getting up and walking away, the moment I walked out of the building and back down the street, it all left. Now, I started thinking, is that I'm not, can't be a nervous person, because at home I am so relaxed and so comfortable. Nothing sort of phases me. And it's only when I'm in certain situations or around certain people. So then what happened was I ended up getting the job in the first interview. And that job took me to another town where I met my husband. And that particular bank took over the bank that I was feeling sick about. It was like a merger and a takeover. So had I have like stayed in that interview and then maybe got that job, the path I would have been on would have been totally different. I wouldn't have met my husband. I wouldn't have ended up going in the direction. And I started thinking, oh, so, when you feel hungry, your body tells you you're hungry, right? The brain signal and the nerves say, I'm hungry. You need to eat something soon. The body needs something. When you're thirsty, your body does that. It does the same thing when you are going for a job interview or meeting a person for a relationship, or any kind of other situation, your nervous system will do the same thing. And when you are highly sensitive and you're highly empathetic, like you really feel compassion for people, it's like a super sensitive nervous system. And it can become very overwhelming to live with that, especially if when it happens to you, you think it's wrong. So if you've sort of been growing up where you've had this thought, or people have convinced you that being anxious or being nervous is wrong and you have to get rid of it and you have to try and cure it, that feeling it's a bad thing. So when you have it and you think it's a bad thing, it escalates into something worse, because it's kind of like you fight against it. It's like, I don't want this, let it go away. And the more you do that, the worse it gets. If you sat with it and said, okay, this is my body telling me something. What is it telling me? Is it telling me what I'm about to do is I'm going to be healing somebody's energy, so I'm preparing myself for feeling their energy? Is it telling me this is not the right direction for me not to go there? Is it telling me to just relax and get away from the situation? Like, really listen to why has your nervous system just fired up? What are you about to do that's making it fire up? What is that warning about? What is that? And just don't say it's a wrong thing. Don't look at it like this is wrong. Look at it like, this is my body doing something totally natural, totally what it is designed to do. And when you sort of look at it like that, it doesn't escalate into something worse. I know for years I could be sitting at home in the most relaxed state, and if someone was going to come into my home, some people could come into my home and I had no reaction whatsoever. And other people, they would ring up and say, oh, can I come over for a visit, or come for a coffee or something? Just before they got there, I would have my nerves would start firing up. And I used to think it was me. Like, I used to think there was something wrong with me. Like, oh my God, why am I so nervous? I know this person really well. Like, it didn't make sense to me. And it was my body just saying, okay, this person that's coming to see you is going to send some of their energy to you. You're going to filter some of their energy through you. You're going to heal them in some way. You're going to learn something about yourself that maybe you don't think you're ready for. There's going to be something there. And I didn't see it like that in the past. I saw it as this was a bad thing, and it just got worse and worse. And then I actually got to a point where anytime I was going to have an appointment, let's say like a doctor's appointment or a dentist appointment, or wherever I felt like I was going to be in a situation where I couldn't get out of it, like you were going to be in a chair and you couldn't just get up and walk away, I would get such a stomach ache and then have to go to the toilet like so many times. It was like my nervous system hit my digestive system, like my bowel system, and then I created irritable bowel syndrome. I had irritable bowel syndrome for years, and yet I did everything the doctors were telling me to do. I changed my diet. I was meditating, so I was already relaxing. I got rid of like the lactose and stuff. I was doing everything possible, but it still was there. And it was only when I got to that point of realizing I'm fighting the feeling in my nerves, I'm fighting it. Let's stop fighting it and let's go with it. And when I started doing that, my digestive system cleared up. And so my doctors for years, I would say I had a family doctor that knew me like so well, and for years and years, and I would bring up this topic of nerves, and he would just say, oh, you're getting overwhelmed with life and you're getting stressed out and you're doing too much. And I don't know, he didn't really understand that I was saying, I feel people's energy. Like he couldn't get his head around, how could you possibly feel other people's energy? But that's what I was doing. I was feeling the energy of other people and holding it inside myself, not letting it go through me and back out again. I was hanging on to it, and then it was affecting me. So I've now sort of been hearing a lot of psychologists, I don't know about doctors so much, GPs, but a lot of psychologists are now putting that connection between highly sensitive, empathetic people and how that nervous system reacts. And there's a direct link. So what I have now discovered is whenever I was going to be in a situation where my nervous system fired up, it would inflame inside my body, like my bowel system would inflame, and then that created irritable bowel. Some other people get inflammation in other parts of their bodies from their nervous system firing up, like I think it's fibromyalgia and different kind of inflammatory diseases start to manifest in the body through this nervous system. And I've just lost my train of thought. Isn't that terrible when that happens? Yes, it inflames inside the body, and so it reacts, and the longer, that's what I was going to go, the longer that this happens. So if this has happened over 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, it starts depleting chemicals in the brain like the serotonin. It sort of eats away at it, and it's very, very hard to sort of build that back up again. So I've sort of now seen a lot of psychologists that have been saying there is a direct correlation between very highly empathetic people and their nervous system. So I think if you're in that position yourself and you really do feel highly empathetic for other people, and it upsets your own nervous system, and you have realized that over the years you've developed inflammatory diseases, something that may be able to help you is when you feel that nervousness coming on, or you are around somebody, or you're in a situation where you want to run, because we have that fight or flight, don't we? We're either going to stand there and fight it, or we're either going to run away from it. Just by acknowledging that this is something that is totally normal in my body. This is just my body doing what it's naturally meant to do. So it's telling me right now I'm in a situation that I'm either going to be contributing to, they're contributing to me, I don't need to be here, this is not the right path. Because if you're highly empathetic and sensitive to other people, you are exactly the same with yourself. So this is your body telling you that is not the place of alignment for you. If you go down that path, if you're trying to do something and you're feeling very nervous about it, or you're around somebody and you feel you're getting those nervousness feelings about it, that's probably not the right place for you to be. It's not in your alignment. It's not flowing with your energy. It's sort of bouncing and restricting with your energy, and that's making your body react, and it's doing it naturally. It's meant to do that. So I just thought I would talk about that to see if in some way, if you have noticed that within yourself over the years, if you've noticed that you're around certain people, you get that feeling, or certain situations where you've looked at yourself and gone, oh wow, I felt really sick just before that happened, and I felt faint and I felt dizzy, and I walked out of it, and I'm glad I walked out of it, because that was the wrong place for me to be. Listen, your body is always talking to you, always, and the more highly sensitive you are and the more in tune you are, the more you will feel it on a very, very intense physical level. So go with it. Don't try to fight against it. Fighting against it will make it worse. Go with it. just say to yourself, okay, it's my body doing what it's supposed to do. It does the same thing when I'm hungry. It does the same thing when I'm thirsty. It's just working what it's supposed to do. I'm going to listen to it. I'm listening to my body. I'm going to follow what I feel. Whatever I feel, I'm going to follow through with that. So I really hope that helps some of you that have felt very anxious, who are highly empathetic and highly sensitive. And let me know in the comments if that resonates with you, and have a lovely day.